This is Alex Terrace, and we're here doing another infrared sauna review video, this time on Heavenly Heat brand saunas, Heavenly Heat Saunas. And this model you see on the screen here is their Eco infrared sauna. So again, Heavenly Heat Eco model, and I will be comparing it in this video to another brand that is meeting the same quality standards, and I believe has some superior aspects to it for a lower price. So just want to kind of compare them back and forth. And the other brand that we will be comparing is called Sunstream Saunas. The link you can find to the exact model is below in the description box. You just fill that out real quick, and then you get all the download, all the information that you see on my screen today. That'll be emailed to you personally. So you just got to fill out that form, hit that link below in the description box. You also find my email, by the way, down there if you have any questions on this video. I've been doing infrared sauna research as a dealer for now, currently up to 10 different brands of saunas for the last 15 plus years. So I am a bit of a sauna broker, which is very unusual. So normally when you talk to sauna companies, you will deal with the sales reps, right? And they will say, we have the best sauna ever, and that's their job, right? When you speak to me, I will basically help kind of reverse engineer and figure out, based on all your criteria, what's really going to be the best brand or model for you. So again, I sell multiple brands. Anyways, let's move into this sauna. So I just want to start off by saying Heavenly Heat Saunas is a great company based in the United States. They've been around a long time. There's a few other companies that also have been around a similar long period of time as well. But they have been around for a while. They went through a total infrared model revamp, a total revamp of all their different sauna models not that long ago. So they really have like a totally new look. By offering, first off, carbon emitters. That's the black thing you see on the screen. When you ever see those black things on the walls, sometimes gray, those are carbon, and we refer to those as carbon emitters. And they're a type of heater that produces infrared, okay? And I do think those are some of the better emitters on the market, okay, for several reasons. So they used to, for most of the time they've been around the industry, they did not use carbon emitters. They actually used way back when, ceramic convex emitters, and then they shifted into ceramic rod heaters or emitters, which I personally believe are the worst type of emitters to use. And now they've progressed into carbons, which I think is definitely a step in the right direction for sure. So they've always made, just high quality saunas, clean saunas. So I don't really have a lot of to critique per se, just about the quality there. And that's really important because most saunas are not good quality when it comes to just construction and things like that. They're just not, there's a lot of bad saunas out there, mass produced, and that's pretty normal. It must be like 85% at least of brands. So, but in this video, we're going to actually get a little more detailed and just compare a few points and why I think there might be a better alternative to this specific model here. So we will just dive into it now. So this is definitely a real sale price that's happening here. So as you can see, it's $900 savings, normally $5,600, $46.99 current sale price. For the size of it, it's up there, in price point for sure. Granted, you at least won't be compromising on, a clean construction, which is worrisome to me. And a little side point comment I just want to add, that when you see most carbon infrared saunas, carbon emitters, most of those saunas, the vast majority, have plywood that is used inside the saunas, and usually actually also have poor electrical quality standards that also are concerning with regards to VOC and off-gassing, something that you don't have to worry about with this brand. And there is really just only a few others that have real clean construction that offer carbon emitters. So again, the vast majority, I would be concerned normally with air quality, and that's both inside the sauna, but also polluting the room that it's in, right? So if you have it inside your home, it's like air home quality is already the worst place to be, unless you live in a mega city, And if you have any questions, by the way, about really how to get super pure air in your home, I've also reviewed air purification equipment for many years. But anyways, so yeah, a lot of people are getting a sauna, it's not a clean sauna, and then they're polluting their homes because of off-gassing from the sauna. So it's like, oh my God, right? This is so totally counterproductive. So in this Heavenly Heat Eco infrared sauna here, one thing that we just want to point out a few things here. So in the description, right here. It says heats to 185 in minutes, okay, with heat control, okay. So I just want to clarify that when you see temperatures with a variety of saunas, as far as what they get to, you kind of have to do a little more due diligence and not always just accept it at face value. Like a lot of people may read this, right? And they're thinking, all right, well, if I get the sauna and I use this sauna, I'm going to be baking myself sitting on the bench down here in the sauna. I'm going to be baking myself at 185 degrees. Now that is likely not the case of what's really happening. So when you see temperatures, again, with any sauna brand, you have to ask more questions, okay? Specific questions like, hey, if I'm going to be sitting here lower in the sauna where my torso is, you know, I'm 5'10" or whatever your height is, okay? I'm 5'9", 5'6", I'm 6 foot. Will I be programming my sauna for 185 degrees on the thermostat? And will the thermostat show 185 degrees while I'm in the sauna? Okay, so that's really the specific question to ask. Again, don't ever take things just in general about descriptions, specifications, I should say, with saunas. Don't just like believe you know the answer. Like, oh, that's what that means, you know, because if you watch on my videos, you know, things aren't always as they appear to be. And you really do actually have to ask. And sometimes you have to literally ask for something in writing. Like, can you email, you know, your answer, right, to my question? Can you email it to me? Just in case, like worst case scenario, right? You were misled. And there was another brand that I showed, and they said, you know, 100% hemlock wood. It was not this one. I cannot believe I can't even remember the other brand. Oh, maybe it was at the Solara. I think that was what it was. Anyways, 100% hemlock wood, and then really you look in the video with their own affiliate, and you see there's plywood in the floor exterior and in the roof. So it's like when people would read that, they're like, well, 100% hemlock must mean 100% hemlock. Well, actually, no. So you should definitely have asked the question, right? So in this case, definitely you got to ask the question on that. So let's just quickly put this topic to rest here real quick about temperatures and saunas. So with infrared saunas, part of the value of an infrared sauna is the comfort. So unlike a traditional Finnish sauna that uses an electric stove for radiant heat, meaning what actually warms your core body temperature is how hot the air is in the sauna, right? So that's a traditional sauna. You know, it's a lot of times you'll find them at a gym or whatever, right? And it's really hot. It's like 175, 180-ish, 190 even. And in Europe, a lot of times you find for 200 degrees higher, okay? So it's super hot, not the most comfortable thing in the world, especially if you're on the second tier bench. And in an infrared sauna, common temperatures you're going to find are 120, 130, 140 degrees. There's a couple options out there that are like 165, but that is very uncommon, very rare, okay? There's just a couple exceptions. But generally, the point of an infrared sauna is the infrared panels on this. Now, those infrared panels are sending infrared energy, obviously, into your body. I think we've all figured that out, right? So it's sending infrared energy into your body. This is, by the way, a very tall model. You can tell by how high up that goes. Yeah, she's pretty tall. Anyways, so again, the infrared's going into the body, and it's helping to warm your core body temperature. Okay, it's helping to warm your body temperature because of the infrared radiance going into your body once again, just saying a million times here. So it's not so much the therapeutic efficacy about how hot the air is. In other words, your thermometer in there might say, you know, whatever it says, you know, 130, 140. That's important to a certain extent to just make sure that it's a little bit easier to sweat and whatnot. But really, it's more about the infrared energy going into your body that's responsible for warming your core body temperature. So it's a combination of, you know, sure, how hot the cabin is in here, but also another very important point is, of course, the infrared emitters, right? The coverage of them. What is the watt density of those emitters? What is the emissivity rating, which is another third-party spectroscopy term you can ask for or look at. So what's the emissivity rating of it? By the way, some companies may make claims about emissivity, so even well-known name brands, and actually not prove their claims. So again, that's why I always say ask. You're like, well, this is a super well-known company, you know. I'm not going to name the name. You know, how could they be lying about their emissivity? But well, believe it or not, they do. So they say, we got the most superior emissivity. You can always email me if you want to know what that name brand is. But they talk about their superiority emissivity, and they don't want to show the third-party test. And there's a reason for that, because their biggest other competitor has them beat on emissivity significantly. So that's why they don't want to say it. So I'm just giving you an example. Like, there's a lot of companies out there that are kind of a little misleading. Anyways, so as we talked about, no VOCs, Canadian hemlock wood's a great wood, by the way, to use. Very durable, very flexible. I would always stick with Canadian, though. There is hemlock you can get from China. I would definitely stick with Canadian hemlock wood. Just a few other brands, not many brands, but just a few use really high quality Canadian wood. So let me just make sure we closed out the point here on 185 degrees. So with traditional saunas, 185 plus, great range for convection, hot air temperature. With infrared, you only need a fraction of that, which makes them comfortable and great, right? You can do 130, 140. And that's great. That's perfect for infrared. So we really want to pay close attention to the infrared heaters or the infrared emitters. If there was a sauna out there that got to 185 air temp and had infrared emitters that were pretty intense, let me tell you, realistically, most consumers would not want to use that sauna. It's just, if you've ever been in a good quality infrared sauna, or even just a mediocre quality for that reason, and you're sitting in there for 20, 30 minutes at 140 degrees, most people are ready to get out of that sauna after 20 to 30 minutes, okay? If it was 45 degrees hotter air temp plus the infrared emitters, most people would be ready to get out of there in like 10 minutes, and they could maybe make it to 20, but it would be very uncomfortable. The other reason most infrared companies would not want to have too high of a temperature with infrared is honestly just the risk of overheating, which is a real thing. Like, do you want that consumer liability? Oh, somebody passed out or they died or who knows, right? They fell through the glass door. You know what I mean? Like, do you really want that to happen more often? Somebody's going to sue you maybe, and then your company is going to be done. So it's not just that most consumers just would not enjoy the sauna. They'll start to complain about it online, how it's too intense, how they can't use it very long. It's just not going to be comfortable, okay? So that's the main reason, honestly, why you don't see hotter temperature, like air temperature, infrared saunas. So if you've never used an infrared sauna, that's why I'm trying to explain this to you. You don't need anything really like much hotter than 140. Yes, there's a couple that 165. The only time I'll sell those to people where they get just a little bit hotter is if these people are, just like heat beasts. They love the heat, right? They love traditional saunas to get to like 190 and they're just loving it. You know what I mean? That's a very, very small percentage of people that I deal with, 5%. So if you're not in that 5%, which you're probably not, just stick with the lower temperatures and then you'll actually enjoy the sauna. Do you want to go into a sauna and suffer? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't wait to go, torture myself in my sauna, because that would be the reality, okay? If a sauna was hitting 185 plus infrared emitters, you would really not want to use it. And then you'd start to set your thermostat lower, and it would be like, what would be the point? You see what I'm saying? If you're going to set your thermostat lower. So anyways, let's back up a second here, go into the second point. So on the specification sheet over here, EMF, ELF, it is one of the lower EMF, ELF saunas. There's a couple other, there's more good brands these days with really low electromagnetic frequency, actually. If you don't know what that is, just Google it, EMF, ELF, as far as like harm to your health. You can also get other forms, Wi-Fi, cell phones, cell phone tower, stuff like that. Microwaves from your actual microwave. Never stand in front of your microwave if you're using it. It's bad. Anyways, so they are very, very low in the sauna. There's a few other brands that are also very, very low, equally so. The brand that I'm going to show you in this video as a comparison that I think is a better investment, like a better value, let's just say than the Heavenly Heat Eco. It's actually right on par, same levels, pretty much almost non-existent when you actually test them. So there have been some advances, by the way, in the last several years. I mean, the advances really came out maybe 7 years ago. It was a while now, but basically for being able to shield the electromagnetic frequency really well. So it is very low, absolutely, but it's not the only unique brand. So I just want to point that out when it comes to super low levels. They do absolutely have no glues in their sauna when they're actually fusing trying to nail their tongue and groove boards, their hemlock boards, to their frame. They are not using any glues. Here's the drawback, though. And most consumers would not know this, but longevity of a sauna. So if you want to keep your sauna, and you can keep an infrared sauna going for a very long period of time just because it's not that complex. There's a couple brands that are a little bit more sophisticated out there. But in general, you can keep an infrared sauna going for quite some time. And you can always repair it fairly easily and troubleshoot it. But there is definitely some risk if you're using thinner boards without any glues at all to having some, and you're just using like super thin nails to keep everything together. There's some risk with some buckling or coming loose from the frame and things like that. There's nothing wrong with glues. They reinforce the boards, especially if it's pressed in a hydraulic press with the frame. It makes the paneling very strong in your sauna, and you'll avoid a lot of issues, especially with like buckling and things like that of the boards long term. There's nothing wrong with glue so long as it is a FDA certified non-toxic food grade glue, meaning, well, I mean, everybody understands what food grade means. So there's really absolutely no concern whatsoever with, coming into contact with it or any VOCs or anything like that. Okay? Just like there'd be no VOCs. This is a stupid point, but there'd be no VOCs if you put some carrots inside of your sauna and warmed those carrots. Okay? Nothing toxic about the carrots being warmed up. Okay? So glues can absolutely be a very, very good thing because of how saunas are constructed and the way the boards and the frame and everything comes together. They're really better to have than not have, honestly. So to choose to have no glues in the sauna as standard, I mean, the main reason, you got to think about it as a sauna company, is it important to have a sauna that somebody buys for a lot of money here, $4,600, not a lot, meaning it's not like a $300 product, right? So it's a few $1,000s. And we would want that product to obviously last and stay in good shape for as long as we can, right? And get a lot of health benefits long term, especially if multiple people are going to be using this, So to have a good quality construction, that really should include glues. But again, you just have to make sure that those are non-toxic glues. So really to say that there is no glues in it, this is really more of a marketing move. It's very, very challenging as a sauna company to sell a carbon emitter infrared sauna and not have a tremendous amount of competition online, okay, marketing with other competitors. So to say that there's no glues in it, no stains, no plywood's great, stains, sure, okay, even though there are some non-toxic stains, that's all great stuff, off-gassing risks. But glues is almost more of a marketing move because you're compromising a little bit, in my opinion, your construction quality long term, your durability. And again, there's non-toxic glues that you can use, and they could have still done marketing. You know what I mean? You could basically have it all. You could have a better quality construction and a non-toxic food-based glue. You see what I'm saying? Especially if you're going to spend $4,699 or $5,600. Get it? So I'd rather have a better quality constructed. So I'm going to show you another option here in just a minute. So as far as the infrared emitters go, let's just touch on this point real quick, and then we will move on to the alternative brand I'm going to talk about. So in this infrared Eco sauna from Heavenly Heat, there is no infrared emitter in the floor underneath your feet, just to be clear. Okay, so if you want that, know that it is pretty common to be able to get a carbon heater in the floor under your feet, but this one does not have it. Your feet do have very special receptors, or I should say unique vasculature to your feet that are very efficient at both dispelling heat and also absorbing heat, infrared heat as well. This is actually why people are able to walk on hot coals. You ever see that before? Come to my Transformation Tony Robbins Summit and you can walk on hot coals. So basically these hot coals, it's again because the vasculature and the capillaries are so efficient. That's also when people get neuropathy. It's very common when you have like a lot of blood cell endothelial circulatory damage that the feet go numb first. Okay. So there is some advantage, I think, therapeutically, to having an infrared heater in the floor. So this one does not have that in the Heavenly Heat Eco. Now, if you look at the infrared emitters on the walls here of the sauna, so as you can see, they go from, you know, where your waist would be, your butt, and it goes all the way up, almost entirely to the ceiling. So your average person, unless they're very, very, very tall with their upper torso, your average height person is going to be a little bit lower. See where my arrow is right here? It's going to be a little bit more around this level right here. Maybe your head will be right here or even here with your shoulders. So you're going to have a good amount of surface area here and on the side walls where that power, the wattage going to those heaters on the sides and the back at the top, that wet wattage is going to be shooting infrared rays into space, into the empty space, instead of down here, right, where you sit with your torso. Then that's going to basically be going directly into your body, correct? It's going to be going directly into your body instead of shooting out over your head, okay? So with the Eco, you know, this other brand I'm going to show you, what they basically are doing is they're just concentrating the carbon emitters to a smaller surface area lower down the walls. The other thing that is kind of obvious that you'll see with many carbon infrared saunas is the glass door in front of you. So that's one of the most common designs, okay? And think about where the main amount of surface area of your body is to absorb infrared rays. Where would that be? That would be in your core, right? Your core body, your upper torso. So your back side's here, okay? But your front side is facing a glass door, obviously. Is there any infrared coming from the glass door? No. But your front torso is still the largest surface area, right? So it's really your front side and your back side that are the biggest surface area to capture or to receive infrared rays, okay? So again, there's no infrared exposure on the front glass door here, right? Which is very common. So let's pop over into an alternative brand. This is a company based in Canada, in Vancouver, Canada. They've been around, I can't remember now, 15 years, 16 years, 14 years, I have no idea, a long time though. They're one of the older companies. The owner of this company has also been around even much, much longer than that. So anyways, so it's Canadian hemlock. What you're seeing here, and why the model has her head almost to the top of this, is what you're looking at here is a very unique model. It's called the Mini. So the Evolve Mini. EHS stands for, by the way, Electrohypersensitive, meaning you can barely even test to find any ELF or EMF. When I tested it with my emitter just to validate, you know, I really couldn't detect any noticeable difference when I turned the sauna on or off. So that's just about as low as you can get it. If you're that concerned, by the way, with electrosensitivity, never hold your cell phone when you're using it. So good luck with that one. Never put it on your body or in your pocket turned on. Always have it on airplane mode. And you should probably hardline your home, not have any Wi-Fi, but you should have fiber optic or and plug everything in. So you're probably not doing that. You probably maybe even have a cordless phone, which is beaming microwave. But if that's still a concern, the EHS is about as low as you can possibly get it right now. So this is a Mini. So the Mini is 100% hemlock construction. So again, all the way through, there's absolutely no plywood in here, no particle board, no Luan wood. So it's a super clean sauna. They use the food grade tight bond. You can look up that brand, FDA certified, you know, food safe glue, which again is going to be a way that ensures better durability with the tongue and groove boards connected to the frame. Okay. With the Bluetooth receiver, some people do wonder, can I turn that Bluetooth off? Absolutely, you can. There are some saunas where you can't turn it off. And with this one, you absolutely can turn it off if you want to. Okay. And what's unique about the Mini is that instead of there being a glass door in front, okay, see this right here? She's walking into the bench. It's a side. So this is a picture of the side of the sauna with the entire door taken off. So right next to your bench right here is just solid wood. You see the solid wood right here? So right next to the bench, solid wood with an infrared emitter on that side that's missing right now. The glass door is right here, okay? It's kind of off at an angle in front of you. So you see this big emitter right here? That's 400 watts of power. 400 watts, huge infrared emitter. Look at how big that thing is. And that's facing directly in front of you, okay? So you got your front side. You also have your back side. Let's flip through another photo here. Here's a top-down view. See this on the right here? So the big emitter there. You got your emitter on your side. You got one beneath your feet right here. You got a big emitter on your back side. So all your sides are covered, 360 degrees. So that's unique, okay? That's a lot of infrared coverage. And there's a lot of wattage going to this mini sauna. Now mini, meaning the footprint of this is smaller, technically, than a standard one-person size sauna. But as you can see, even with this model, who's, just a little bit taller than average, for most women, she is comfortable. Most people anatomically are in proportion, their torsos to their legs. So this, even if you're bigger than she is, you could still usually fit comfortably in this. Look, there's some exceptions to people that are exceptionally large, and you can just, when you email me or the owner at the company with the link below in the description box, you can just tell them how big you are, and maybe you just need to go up to a one-person size, which is standard. But some people really like this mini because it's also just takes up less space. That's all. So here's your that's the one person. So I flipped ahead too far. That's the standard one person size. But if we back space, we'll see this is the price right here. The shipping, there's 50% off shipping discounts. So it's pretty reasonable then. Once you take 50% off, it's a bit of a smaller sauna. It might be a couple $100. Nothing, pretty marginal for shipping. Now, obviously, that's a good, significant lower price point than this price over here with the Heavenly Heat Eco, right? Big difference in price. Quite significant, actually. So the construction quality is on par, as clean, except the infrared emitter layout here and the watt density is just much more proportionally balanced. And as you can see right over here, you see the power concentration. See that stat on the right hand side? 41. That's a calculation that you can make based on the interior dimensions divided by the total amount of wattage and the surface area of the carbon emitters. So in other words, you can make that calculation if you have those like stats or specs with any sauna you want to calculate essentially how intense the infrared output would be. So that's already calculated at a convenience for you. So again, you can, in my opinion, really shifting over to something like this is just a therapeutically superior to Heavenly Heat Eco, and certainly a much lower price point. And in terms of durability, more durable long term because of usage of the FDA certified non-toxic glues and the ability to press those boards and panels together. So it's not just the nails, you know what I mean? There's some additional very solid bonding that way. And what was the other point that I was going to bring up here? I think maybe that was it. So this ships out of Canada if you live in Canada, and it ships out of Washington, Blaine, Washington, if you live in the United States. So if you are wondering, is it crossing a border? No, it is not. If you live in the United States, it's just shipping out of Washington. And I believe there is still some inventory happening right now, even during this time of the year. So if you have any questions about this, fill out the form below in the description box. You can also email me anytime. And if you need a comparison to this or to any other brand or model of sauna, you're welcome to reach out anytime, 7 days a week. And I'm happy to give you all of my research so you don't have to pull out your hair and talk to all those salespeople at all the various companies. You know how it goes. Anyways, that's it for now. Hope you found this educational.